last year we spent $5,160 on gasoline. That's a lot of money. Just about as much as we spend on food for our whole family of 8. Today we're going to talk about how we and you can spend less on fuel so we can do more interesting and enjoyable things with our money. Saving on fuel is not that easy to get excited about. It involves a difficult matching problem. Since we don't pay each time we drive, it's hard to know what's the right amount of financial pain we should feel for any given trip in the car. That makes it easy to just fill up when the tank is empty and keep ourselves blind to the actual cost of driving. Of course, we wish we didn't have to fill up, but what can be done?
We're Stephanie and Mike. We blog over at sixfiguresunder.com where we teach families how to get out of debt and reach their financial goals. We're on day 12 of the Frugal Fresh Start Challenge, how to spend less on gasoline. If you're joining us partway through the challenge, we'll have a link to the whole playlist and your free Frugal Fresh Start workbook down in the video description.
For most people, fueling a car is a necessary part of the monthly budget. There are some people without cars at all. There are others who have vehicles, but find other ways to get around and drive the cars only for special occasions, like out-of-town trips. And one blogger who has strong opinions about wasting money on cars is Mr. Money Mustache. If you haven't seen his blog, go check it out. You'll get some great financial advice with a little bit of attitude. So what should you do? If you can cut your car completely, go for it. That's a no-brainer. Cars are a huge cost. Each vehicle is just a bundle of license and registration fees, maintenance costs, repair bills, fuel purchases, and depreciating value. But each vehicle is also a people carrier that goes further and faster than your feet or your bicycle. And if you need to carry people further and faster, and public transportation or ride sharing or moving isn't an option, then well, you're like us and like most people and you have a car.
So our main focus today is not getting rid of a car or buying used cars or finding fuel efficient cars or doing your own auto maintenance at home, though these are all great ways to spend less on your vehicle. Today we're assuming you have a car and you're driving and you keep spending money to fill up the gas tank. Today we're talking about ways to cut that spending. It starts with adjusting your perception, and that might require some information. Open your workbook to day 12. There's a place for you to write down how much you've spent on fuel for the last 3 months. Look back at your credit cards or receipts or account transaction history and find those numbers and then write them down. Go ahead and pause and do it right now.
If you didn't already know your numbers, you may be surprised. Now, don't forget that total number happens across many small trips in the car. Every time you drive, you're also incurring real expenses in fuel. To reduce those expenses, here are our top 10 ways to save money on gasoline.
Number 10, combine trips. Combining trips will save you time and it will save you gas. Combining trips means 2 things. First, when you know you'll be going out, try to schedule other errands at the same time. Try to plan your trips to be geographically efficient. Hopefully you'll avoid driving back and forth across town. Second, combining trips means that instead of making 3 trips to Target this week to pick up a few things each time, you'll keep a list of what you need so you can get it all in one trip.
Number 9, carpool. If you know someone else is headed in the same direction, offer them a ride. Chances are you'll be on the receiving end next time. Not only will you save gas, prevent wear and tear in your vehicle, be more environmentally friendly and get to use the carpool lane, you'll also have good company.
A note of caution. We know of someone whose husband shared a 45-minute commute with a female coworker to save on gas. Sadly, they let that time together lead to an affair and a divorce and lots of heartache. No amount of money saved on fuel or anything else is worth jeopardizing your marriage. Be smart about who you ride with and don't put yourself in a compromising situation.
Number 8, take the car that gets better mileage. If you have more than one car, be conscious of which car gets better gas mileage and use it whenever possible. A few years ago we had a car and a van. The car got 10 more miles per gallon than the van. So when we just had the 3 children, we would take the car whenever we went out as a family. We all fit in the car. Just taking the car instead of the van to church on Sundays, that once a week, we calculated our savings to be $145 per year.
Number 7, consider the cost of each trip. Have you calculated how much a trip to the store costs you in gasoline? Consider that amount when you decide whether the trip is worth it or not. For example, if I know that a trip to Walgreens costs me $4 in gas, then it's easy to realize that making a trip there just so I can use my $2 off coupon to get a free item isn't worth it. I don't like paying for shipping when I buy things online, but knowing that it costs me $9 for a round trip to Target, that was a true story when we lived in the boonies, it makes shipping costs sound a lot more reasonable.
Plus, with Amazon Prime and free shipping from so many stores now, we almost never have to worry about shipping costs. Not to mention we get to save the standing in line and keeping kids from racing the shopping cart into other shoppers and exposing ourselves to impulse buys and being in the car for 2 hours. It's not bad to have things come to your house.
Number 6, remember that even free isn't free. If you're driving around town grabbing all sorts of free things that people are giving away, you might want to rethink your strategy. It's easy to think, hey, it was free, without taking into account that your old pickup gets terrible gas mileage. While the chase may be fun and sometimes yield great rewards, the prize often ends up being just more clutter at your house that will require a drive to the dump or the thrift store later down the road. Free stuff is great, but be selective. Don't start your engine at the first mention of a great deal.
Number 5, get rid of extra weight. When you get back from your camping trip, take your Dutch ovens and your tents and your coolers out of your trunk. Only keep what you absolutely need in your car. Remove extra racks and external storage when you're not using them.
Number 4, keep tires inflated. It really makes a difference to keep your tires inflated to the recommended pressure. You can usually find the tire pressure recommendation on the inside of the door near the hinge or in the glove compartment. Check your tire pressure regularly, especially in cold weather. In addition to giving you better gas mileage, properly inflated tires will also wear better, last longer, and be safer.
Number 3, drive smarter. We all realize that idling, revving the engine, or peeling out when the light turns green uses more gas. A more subtle waste of gas is to keep the gas on when you could coast. Coast to slow yourself down instead of racing to the stoplight and then slamming on the brakes. Look down the road and time the stoplights so you aren't always either on the gas or on the brake.
That reminds me, a few years ago on Halloween, we were at a party at a friend's house who lives 25 miles away. Mike met us there in his car after work. The van was completely out of gas. The distance to empty thing said 0 miles, and there wasn't a gas station open on our way home to get gas. Although there are some uphill spots on our drive, we live generally downhill from our friends, about 1,500 feet difference in elevation. Since Mike could drive behind us and we could all pile in his car if we had to, if the van stopped and we couldn't make it. So I avoided using the gas or brake on our long downhills and would let the van coast uphill with its momentum. I wouldn't push on the gas until I absolutely had to. Since it was late at night and we were driving empty country roads, I didn't have to worry about anyone getting annoyed behind me. Miraculously, we made it all the way home. It made me realize that we can conserve a lot more gas by taking our time and kind of going with the flow. We're in a hilly area, so there are lots of opportunities to take advantage of this strategy.
Number 2, walk or ride instead. For those of you who don't live way out in the country, some of the places you frequent are probably within walking or biking distance. When I was in college, I didn't have a car, but I didn't let that keep me from getting where I wanted to go. Walking or biking can also be a nice change of pace and a good excuse for some exercise. The bus worked fine for longer trips.
And number 1, just stay home. As often as possible, try to stay home instead of driving around. This is a surefire way to save money on gas, but you might have to say no to some things or cut out some activities. The bright side is that you'll also find more time to cook from scratch, work from home, clean your house, play with your kids, or maybe even take a nap.
Now, just like with the other savings we'll be finding during this Frugal Fresh start, just as important as actually saving money on gas is making sure that those savings go somewhere productive toward your 6-month financial goal. If you're not super intentional and meticulous and you're tracking these savings, they'll just get lost in the shuffle.
The way we make sure our gas savings isn't lost is tied to how we budget down to zero each month. As a quick reminder, at the end of the month, any budget category that we didn't have to spend as much as we budgeted for, we sweep all of those extra dollars into an extra payment toward our mortgage, which is the object of our 6-month goal. Even if we only save $35 in fuel, we add that small amount with other categories that we have extra, and we'll have a few $100s extra to pay toward our mortgage principal. You do the same, and 1 month at a time, month over month, you can reach your 6-month goal. Yes, you can do it.
So, the Day 12 Challenge. Resolve to reduce your gas usage in some way and aim those savings directly at your financial goal. Write down what you're going to do in your workbook and start saving on fuel today.
That's it for now. We'll see you tomorrow for the next day of our Frugal Fresh Start.